My name's Angelo, and welcome to We Want Picks. I'm going to give you my bets for UFC Vegas 86. But before I do, let me give you $50. The only thing you need to do is go to wewantpicks.com/bets, sign up with any one of our partners, make a deposit, and we send you $50 as a thank you. It's affiliate marketing. They're going to pay me. I'm going to slice off some of that money and give it right back to you. wewantpicks.com/bets, sign up, make a deposit. We will send you $50. The safety parlay continues to crush. Last week was a disaster for most people. Jacob crushed, my safety parlay hit. The week before, UFC 279 was a disaster for most people. Jacob crushed, I crushed, safety parlay hit. The safety parlay continues to be a resounding success. I have hit 9 of the last 10 parlays. It has a 71% event win percentage of all time, meaning over the last year and a half when we started this thing, and that lifetime ROI is 31%. That is 31% net profit in your pocket from one single bet, week in and week out. You can unlock the safety parlay for this event and every other event at wewantpicks.com. Just click Become a Member at the top. It's only $10 a month. You're also going to get all sorts of tools and insight. One of those tools is the line movement tracker. This is going to give you the opening odds, the current odds, the win probability, and the line movement for every single fighter on every single card. You're going to get the detailed data, metrics, and analytics. This information should help you with your prop bets. How long does somebody fight? Should I go over rounds or under rounds? What's the takedown defense look like? What's the takedown opponent's offense statistic stats look like? Okay, let's hit it. Let's avoid it. Go from there. All sorts of tools, insight, and more for only $10 a month. WeWantPicks.com. Click Become a Member at the top. Let's talk about this card specifically. There are some good favorites that I like and some solid underdogs that I like, but I don't think this card is as easy as everybody says. There's a lot of people thinking that after the bloodbath they experienced the last 2 weeks, that this card is going to be an easy card. I don't think so. I still think it's tricky, but let's go ahead and break down who I can trust and who I can't trust. I think Hyder Amel is a good guy to trust. His opponent stepping up on short notice, going up in weight class. Hyder's a busy guy, continues to fight, continues to come forward, has all the skills, can strike, can grapple, can do all the things. I think Hyder is solid. Obviously, we wish there was a little bit more UFC level experience, but his opponent has plenty of UFC level experience. It just hasn't gone his way. So I think Hyder Amel's going to get this done. I think the short notice, the size difference, and all of that's going to be a problem for his opponent. Then we got Jeremiah Wells. I know the narrative out there is Max Griffin's super tough. Max Griffin hits like a freight train. I get all that. And I agree with every single one of those statements. But that doesn't mean Max Griffin's going to win this fight. Being tough doesn't win you fights. Being tough prevents you from getting finished. I do think this is a decision. And I think Jeremiah Wells is going to come in, avoid the power, and just wrestle. Grapple. I'm sure he'll slow down. I'm positive he'll slow down as the fight goes on. So maybe he gives up the third round. But he's going to win those first two. He's going to win this fight. I like Jeremiah Wells. I know a lot of people are trying to make up for a couple of bad weeks in a row, trying to find plus money bets, and they see a name like Max Griffin and they throw money on it. I think that's a bad idea. When you start chasing, when you start looking for plus money bets to make up for losses from previous weeks because you decided to bet low-level female fighters, that's not a good game plan. That's not a strategy. I would not bet on Max Griffin here. And obviously, this is a fist fight and anything can happen. We have seen that time and time again for the good and the bad. But I think Jeremiah Wells is just going to be too much and he's going to get this done. Even his loss, he beat the crap out of that dude for 2 rounds and 3/4. And then he got caught. And that could absolutely happen here. But he got caught in a submission. And Max Griffin, while he has huge power early, it does wane as the fight goes on. So very confident in Jeremiah Wells. Then we have Gregory Rodriguez. This is another fight. This is exactly like the Jeremiah Wells breakdown. He's fighting a really tough guy. He's fighting a really durable guy. Brad Tavares has fought the entire division 2 times over. And this will be Gregory Rodriguez's, I don't want to say his toughest fight, but certainly his most experienced opponent. And Brad Tavares is very durable, a hard guy to get out of there. But just like I said with Jeremiah Wells, Gregory Rodriguez has dangerous striking and dangerous grappling. We just saw in his last fight, just body slammed his way into a TKO. I think he can do some of that here. Brad Tavares is very good, but I trust Gregory Rodriguez to get it done. If I was more confident in Greg or Jeremiah, it's about even for basically the same reason. Then we have Joe Pyfer. And a lot of people like Jack Hermansson here. But what I will say is the reason they like Jack Hermansson, they don't go on and on about how good Jack is. It's not, oh, I bet on Jack Hermansson because Jack can do this. Jack is good at that. It's always, I bet on Jack Hermansson because we've never seen Joe go the distance. We don't know what Joe's cardio is going to look like. So you're not betting on Jack. You're betting against Joe. And he hasn't given us anything yet to bet against him. We haven't seen anything yet from Joe to say, ooh, there's a red flag. So I don't know why people are betting on Jack Hermansson. Of course, he's got a ton of experience. Of course, he's a tough guy. But I think he's going to end up being turned into a gatekeeper here. I think Joe has insane power. We know Joe can grapple. Just because he's knocking people out doesn't mean he can't grapple. His team is phenomenal grapplers. That's what they do. He's on that team with Jeremiah Wells. And I don't know if that's his full-time team, but he's cross-training with the Jeremiah Wells, with the Pat Sabatini, and all the hate that that team gets from Jacob has nothing to do with their grappling. Their grappling is phenomenal. It's for the striking. But Joe Pyfer doesn't fall into that striking category. So a lot of people, just like the Max Griffin bets, are chasing plus money. Oh, Jack Hermansson, he's a reliable guy. Let me get a plus money bet on him. I think it's a bad idea. Go through Jack's resume. He's fought some tough guys. Yeah, he just fought Roman Dolidze. And he got finished. Go look at his wins. He had a crazy quick heel hook win against Kelvin Gastelum like 4 years ago. Outside of that, none of those wins are quality wins. And Joe doesn't have a ton of quality wins either. Abdul Razak Al Hassan. But that's not any fault of his. He has destroyed everybody they put in front of him except a freak arm injury on Contender Series. I'm very confident in Joe. I think he gets it done. Of course, biggest fight of his life, first main event, all those things. I don't think it's going to matter. And then we talk about some underdogs. There's a lot of solid underdogs on this card, but we'll talk about Darius Flowers. While Michael Johnson is the better fighter in every single aspect except raw power, he's also old. He was just knocked out cold. He's starting to slow down a little bit. And Darius Flowers, while lost on short notice in his UFC debut, remains a powerful guy. He's got plenty of skills, pretty well-rounded. I think he earned his UFC shot. I don't think his UFC shot was, let's just get this bum on short notice because we need to fill a slot. I think he earned it, and I think he can absolutely win this fight. Did I bet on him? No. But I do think he can win this fight. Plus 118 against a much older guy that was just the worst knockout of his entire career just 6 months ago or whatever that was. I like Darius Flowers. And again, I just trashed people betting on Jack Hermansson when their logic was all about Joe, right? I just said anybody betting on Jack doesn't talk about how good Jack is. They just talk about their concerns with Joe. I just did that with Darius Flowers, right? You just heard me say everything about Michael Johnson and nothing about Darius. So a bit of a hypocrite there, but I didn't bet on Darius. I do think he's a solid underdog, and we're not talking about a main event. Then we got Armen Petrosyan. I actually bet the other side of this, but I fully recognize that he's a good underdog. He's fighting Rodolfo Vieira, world champion grappler, black belt killer. But Armen Petrosyan's a phenomenal striker, and while his takedown defense sucks, his ground game sucks, he gets up. And Rodolfo Vieira has to keep getting this fight to the ground if he doesn't finish on the ground. I do think Rodolfo wins. I have a bet on him that I will show you in a second. But I recognize that Armen Petrosyan is very, very dangerous on the feet. There's a wild skill gap between Armen and Rodolfo on the feet, and then another wild skill gap between Rodolfo and Armen on the ground. I think the ground gap is wider. I think Armen will slow down as the fight goes on, and I think Rodolfo is athletic enough and fast enough to get this to the ground immediately. With that being said, Armen is a good underdog. And then Bogdan Guskov. He happens to be Jacob's lock of the week, but I picked him to win as well. I just think Zach Pauga is not that good. I think he's shown us that you can't rely on him. You can't count on him. Zach Pauga will just hang out without any sense of urgency, with what seems like no willingness to win that fight, no willingness to make it dirty. His only win was a close, hard-fought win against Jordan Wright, who had like 11 losses in a row and is no longer in the UFC. I don't think Zach Pauga is that guy. I don't know what happened before the UFC. He seemed to be that guy, seemed to be talented, was at a good gym, all those things. And now he just doesn't care. Too lackadaisical in the octagon. And Bogdan Guskov, while he just lost in his UFC debut, that was also short notice, and that was against a very, very good fighter. I think Bogdan could absolutely get this done, and you're going to get better odds with him at BetOpenly than you will with BetOnline. BetOnline is our preferred sportsbook. BetOpenly is the best way to get the best odds. What BetOpenly does is it's not a sportsbook. It's not you versus them. They basically facilitate bets between different human beings across the world. So when I put a bet on the slate, some other person somewhere else takes my bet. If I lose, they have my money, my actual money in their pocket. If they lose, I have theirs. And that's why you're going to get better odds. A sportsbook needs to win. In order to keep the lights on and pay their bills, a sportsbook needs you to lose your bets, or at least lose more than you win. Otherwise, if they're just handing out money, they can't keep their business afloat. BetOpenly, that's not their model. Their model is getting people in touch with each other and sheer volume. They basically just charge a small 1% processing fee. For 1%, we'll get you guys with each other, we'll process everything, we'll keep everything above board, and we'll keep it stable. That extra 9% margin there, because sportsbooks are about 10%, that extra 9% margin goes back into the odds. You're going to get better odds. So definitely check that out. And at the end of this, I'll show you a couple of bets that we have. You can try to take my money. Here's my actual bets. I have 4.5 units on the board. If you're new here and you don't know who I am or how I bet, I'm usually a pretty conservative guy. I don't start chasing plus 300, but I'm a very conservative guy. You're not going to see a bunch of wild odds out of me. That's also why my safety parlay continues to absolutely crush, because I am conservative. I take my time. I do it right. So let's talk about these. 4.5 units on the board. I could return a little over 8. Not quite double my money, but if all goes well and the stars align, some great profit here. I have Rodolfo Vieira. All the reasons I just mentioned. I think he can get it to the ground. I think he can control. I think he could potentially finish. And even if he doesn't finish, we've seen him go to a decision. He went to a decision with Chris Curtis, and his cardio seemed okay. The reputation out there, the notion out there is that his cardio sucks. And you know what? When he lost to Anthony Hernandez, his cardio did suck. But like most high-level athletes do, he learned from that. He made adjustments, and we have not seen shit cardio from Rodolfo Vieira since that fight. And we've seen him go the distance like with Chris Curtis. And he was shooting takedown after the takedowns sucked. But he was shooting takedowns moving forward and had some success there. So I do think Rodolfo Vieira can get this to the ground. Half a unit because his opponent is tough and a very good striker. Balaji Oki. This is against his new opponent, Timothy Kwamwa. Anyway, Balaji Oki, I was very confident in him in his original matchup. Demir was 40, coming off a knee injury. Very confident in Balaji. In fact, he was in my original safety parlay, and then Demir dropped. And now Balaji has a new opponent. I'm still confident in him. You'll notice he's not in the safety parlay, though. But I am confident in him. I put a full unit on him at minus 140. Those odds are gone. I think he's minus 160, 170 now. But he's still going to win this fight. He's a very good striker, very dangerous, hits hard, fast, all those things. Plus, his opponent is short notice, coming up in weight and coming off of a fight just 4 days ago. The dude just fought last weekend. And you know what happens? You win your fight, you go out, you get some beers, you hang out, you have a good time, and then somebody's like, you want to fight in the UFC? Hell yeah, I do. Regardless of the beer diarrhea you just had and the fact that you've done nothing but consume salt. So I still am very confident in him, but not as confident as I was because his new opponent is good. He's a good striker. He's accurate. He's got some solid skills. And, you know, I'm not going to have Balaji in the safety parlay. Too many questions there. Then we have Max Griffin, Jeremiah Wells over 1.5 rounds. That's juiced, minus 205. I did throw a full unit on it. I don't know why that's a 1.5 line. That should be a 2.5 round line, and the odds should be over at like minus 140. That's what it should be. But you know what? I'll spend a little bit of money. I'm almost 90% confident that this will go over 1.5 rounds. Obviously, anything can happen. These are fistfights. But Max Griffin's very durable. Jeremiah Wells will stick to a game plan and is durable. We watched Matt Semmelsberger almost knock him out cold multiple times. And then Jeremiah Wells got to his corner, survived that round, and then went on to win that fight. That fight went over 1.5 rounds. This one definitely will as well. And then we have Zach Pauga, Bogdan Guskov over 1.5 rounds. This is an even money line. We talk about Sportsbook, minus 110, that's even money. Half a unit on that. And the reason I think this goes over 1.5 rounds is while Zach Pauga can get hit, he's also pretty tough overall. Bogdan Guskov will come out guns blazing, probably slow down a little bit. There's probably going to be a whole bunch of cage hugging and all of that. I don't have a bet on Bogdan to win, but I do think this will also go over 1.5 rounds, and I think this will be sloppy. Neither one of these guys are super high level, but I know one of them wants to win and the other one doesn't seem to care. So over 1.5 seems good there. Then I have a couple of bets here that are only going to be for premium members. I took 2 very confident fighters. I threw them into a parlay. I am getting plus money on that. It is not the safety parlay because while I am very confident in that, I am more confident in the safety parlay at minus 109. Here's another close look at that safety parlay. I've hit 9 of the last 10. I have put 10 safety parlays on the board. 90% of them hit. And in this sport, this volatility, where Gabriel Bonfim exists and Mike Malott exists, that's a shining accomplishment. It hits at over 71%. A 31% lifetime ROI. Unlock the safety parlay. Unlock all of Jacob's bets as well at WeWantPicks.com. Just click Become a Member at the top. Here's a little free teaser for Jacobs. Obviously, Bogdan Guskov is his lock of the week, plus 105. He has a money line bet on him. And then he has a bet on Giles Prates. That fight does not go the distance. A little bit juiced, obviously. But he has 9 total units on the board. That includes this week and some future bets as well. Jacob has profited every single week this year. So while Twitter or X is a wasteland of people condoling each other, it's all right, bro. We'll get him next time. You'll be back, bro. Ooh, I had a tough night too, bro. Not Jacob. Every single event in 2024, not only did he accomplish what he meant to, I think it was like 50% ROI, 40% ROI, 30% ROI on those events. I am up on the year. Last week, the safety parlay was a shining star. My first event crushed, second event crushed. Last week was a little dicier, but that safety parlay hit. You can unlock everything that we both do at WeWantPicks.com. Just click Become a Member. It's only $10 a month. And here's another close look at BetOpenly. I talked about earlier what they are. They're not a sports book. They facilitate bets between human beings. That does 2 things. 1, you're arguing with some random screen name in the comments section that thinks they're a genius, calls you an idiot for your pick or your bet. Well, now you can bet them. And you don't have to worry about them disappearing or changing their screen name to not pay. That's actually the only way we allow people to bet in our Discord. We have a free Discord. If you want to join, there's a link below. In that Discord, people would bet. Oh, you're wrong. You're an idiot. Then we had this kid named EO. Positive, he lived in a basement. Positive, had nothing positive going on in his life, but he bet everybody. He bet Paul Craig $500 to this guy, $500 to this guy. Paul Craig's going to beat Johnny Walker. Johnny Walker obliterated that fool. And then EO disappeared into thin air. But if that bet won, you know we'd be knocking on doors for that money. So we said no more bets. You cannot bet in this Discord anymore. You're a bunch of deadbeats. Can't do it. And then we reach out to BetOpenly, talk to them, and now you can bet in the Discord using BetOpenly. It basically guarantees somebody's going to pay. You got to put the money up, send out the link. Your buddy grabs the other side of that link, takes the bet, and then the winner gets the money. Very easy, tons of fun, and you're going to get straight up better odds every time. The example I used is betting degenerates, but you are going to get better odds on everything, not just MMA, obviously. You can try to take my money. You can bet against the safety parlay. Safety parlay is up. And the only way, or the only thing you need to happen to take my money is the safety parlay to break. One of those 2 fighters loses, you win that bet. Jacob has his lock of the week up there, which means you'll be betting on Zach Pauga. Zach wins, you take Jacob's money, put it in your actual pocket. You can check them out at WeWantPicks.com/BetOpenly or just go to BetOpenly.com. And finally, don't forget, I'll give you $50. Straight up, $50. Just go to WeWantPicks.com/bets, sign up, make a deposit using our links, and we'll send you $50 as a thank you.